Hello.
Hello.
We're in the same place. At the same time.
Oh, we did it.
We did the thing. It's magic. Hey everybody, welcome into another episode of Morning Ritual. Yeah, I can do this.
That doesn't bother me at all.
It is. It's really good editing.
This is super duper green screen is all you're seeing right here.
Yeah, so I can only interact to about here.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Morning Ritual. We're your hosts.
Hi, I'm Anita.
And I'm not.
I'm not hearing Shareef, though, is the problem.
I told you.
You are correct.
1 second, everybody. Alrighty, so give me a second, y'all. Because what y'all need to hear is one of these guys.
That one, specifically.
Alright, Shareef, can I have you say something for me, bud? Do y'all hear that, howdy?
Howdy.
Let me see. Oh, hold on, no, you wouldn't because it's muted.
Yeah.
Alright, now let's try that howdy one more again.
Howdy.
There we go.
That was good because I put everything into that one. I was hoping it was.
Oh, y'all heard it through our speakers, but now you should be hearing it through your speakers. Still very echoey. Okay, because that is because in order for us to hear them, we have to hear them together.
Technical difficulties, this is what we get into when we decide to stream from the same location at the same time.
Oh, that's because I raised the volume up to 25.
Yeah.
When I meant to do 15, because I can't stand doing, I can't stand numbers that aren't palatable. Alright, so now there should be less echo. Well, the number,
We're going to
like,
have a discussion about that.
well, the number 16 is less palatable to me than 15.
Perfect square. It's a perfect square. It's a beautiful
Yes, okay, it divides evenly into 8. I get that. But 15 just feels better. Like, numbers that end in 0 and 5 feel better.
Feel better.
Yes.
Okay.
You take your 15, you double it up, you got a nice 30. You take 30, you double it up, you got a nice 60. You take 60, you double it up, you got a nice 120.
That's true. But as someone as into tech as you are, you should like the binary system, right?
Well, first off, I don't like binary anything. I'm
the powers of two. Oh well, yes, that binary is not great. But the bytes and bits and the computer binary system, you should love those.
Okay, the computer binary, I'm still trying to understand the ones and zeros. It's a bit much. That's why I like quantum computers.
Oh wow, you're just jumping all the way to quantum bits. Yeah.
Like a light switch.
Yeah. 1 is on, 0 is off.
Okay, but what about 3?
Okay, you have 2 light switches. 1 is 2. You need a third light switch. That'll be your base 2. Your second light switch is going to be
or I can just have the number 3.
Well, the problem is that a computer doesn't understand the number. They understand on
quantum computeroid. Thank you very much, Kuja, for banning a scout. I should warn everybody today. And I hate to get into this so early. I have kind of been the target of a lot of shenaniganery. There is a high likelihood that we might get hate rated because I don't know, but the internet has picked me as its favorite guy to fuck with right now.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
Yeah, your response to the hater got posted by an account. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, you know, it's part of being black and all Twitch. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. During my mods were kind of in overdrive during my GM prep stream yesterday on Roll20.
did you catch any heat?
Going on. I mean, they took care of it, but they were like, you know, working in the background, messaging me about all the bands they had to do in the background. So it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, it's kind of rough all over, man. And you know, at some point, the something's got to give. But I kind of just hope nobody gets hurt before people realize we should take this seriously.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple scouts coming into the channel here and there. Last night we had another one, and the stream before that we did have more. But yeah, I've been trying to ban them as quickly as I see them. And any account that it gets made this in August or September, I've just been banning off that. And if they're real, they can at me and let me know.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what. Yeah, I agree. Like, unfortunately, it is going to affect people outside of it, but at this point, it's about protecting our spaces, and if that makes
it people in them, for sure.
Yeah, and like if that makes it slightly more inconvenient to make an account, like it just is what it is. Like,
I mean, that brings us to a smooth transition into kind of talking about your history in the space, in the sense that you were, if I recall correctly, the first GM for Rivals, which is like one of the most predominant, blacks in PLC streams out there. You guys have the support of Wizards and Dungeons and Dragons, and you've been around for like now officially 10 seasons, which is not easy to do. First off, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I guess I should do a bit of an introduction, I guess. You really introduced me. Hey, everybody.
Sorry. That's our fault.
We don't do introductions here. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Let's just go. My name is the NoirEnigma, because our pictures look the same on the Trouble thing, and I've been called you more than once, which is great.
I actually laugh. I'm like, they didn't really mean to get me for Techberg. I just look so much like Shareef. They can't fit me on
They just got you. They got you caught in the crossfire.
I'll take that to the bank.
Yeah. No. So yeah, I'm Shareef. I'm a I guess full-time, I'm a math and physics tutor, test prep tutor. That's kind of how I get my bread and stuff, but also gaming professional. So I do paid work in the video game space and the tabletop space. And yeah, I just been blessed enough to be able to turn my passion into my career. I'm a trained engineer, I guess. I worked as an electrical engineer for about 15 years, kind of doing stuff on the side. And then it just got to the point where, I was had enough interest and made enough money off of side hustles and projects that I was able to, leave my engineering career, which at that point was getting very non-work-life balancey. Well, it always was, but I was getting to the realization that that there was other ways to do it. So for the past 6 years or so, I've been working for myself and making income through the tutoring and then through gaming stuff, and it's been awesome.
Well, first off, I knew you were like a math genius. I did not know that you were an engineer. And whenever I meet somebody that's an engineer, I always ask them the same question, and I know it's a dumb question, but I have to ask it. When you watch stuff like Iron Man, whenever they do the science mumbo, like the engineering mumbo jumbo that the layman's person doesn't understand, is there any part of you that's just like, that's not accurate?
Nah, I mean, it's entertainment. Like, to me, it's like watching wrestling and being like, well, that can't really happen. It's just entertainment, and because part of my stuff is science communication, like, you know, to to me that stuff is important to get people interested in the idea that things can happen. It's like Star Trek, you know, like a lot of people got interested in those careers because they grew up on Star Trek, even though the stuff in Star Trek is completely made up, you know. So like I think that there's a space for that kind of entertainment because, well, you're not going to have a show with a bunch of realistic equations on it all the time, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a space for it. So no, I don't get annoyed by it or anything. It just is what it is.
How do you feel about Futurama with that math equation that they made specifically for the brain swapping episode?
I actually did really like that. Yeah, for some reason, Futurama I got into way more than I was into The Simpsons, and I'm not sure
Same.
why.
I kind of feel like that's everybody's experience, though.
I feel like The Simpsons because, you know, I'm well, I don't know how old y'all are, but I'm probably a little bit older than y'all. So I grew up with The Simpsons on like Tracy Ullman and then the show. So it was just like a natural background thing that I feel like it just kind of stopped challenging anything. So it was just consistently on. And after I feel like maybe 5 or 6 seasons, I was just like, all right, cool. Like this is like a sitcom that's on all the time, you know? Whereas Futurama, I felt like they were going really hard on like, let's weird this thing out. Like, let's like, you know, really have some like interesting commentary via the future.
I kind of feel like they put their heart in Futurama, and they're just doing Simpsons for the check now.
That's fair.
I mean, definitely now for sure.
Yeah.
It's like what 26 seasons or 27 seasons or whatever.
It's gotta be up there.
It's at like 30 something at this point.
Like I'm barely older than the Simpsons.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that it's still going, to be honest. But yeah, I guess it makes that money.
I mean, talk about creating a brand that makes money. Like, to this day, people still buy stuff because it's Simpsons branded. Like that's staying power.
No, man, yeah, I grew up wearing a lot of Simpsons. You know, like Simpsons gear was pretty big in the '90s. I wore a lot of Bart. I had some Bart Simpson shirts.
Bat Bart and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I had a Bart Simpson skateboard. You know, even though I was more of a fan of Lisa, like all the gear was Bart because he was like the cool one. So
Lisa because her entire arc is always suffering.
I mean, yeah,
Lisa never gets anything she wants. It's sad. 33 seasons of The Simpsons so far.
33.
Oh my god!
I'm 1 year older than The Simpsons.
Yes.
Wow, I really thought it was in the 20s still. Oh my god. That is nuts. Yeah, and like, you know, I grew up like, you know, that Simpsons arcade game was one of like the main like big 4-player co-op fighting games of the arcade era, which was awesome. So yeah, I played that a lot. For some reason, I have a strong memory of one of the Game Boy Simpsons games that for some reason I played a lot of. It was Bart Simpson's Escape from Camp Deadly. I don't know why I remember that, but it's basically just like a platformer.
Did
but
Lisa ever
I played it all the time.
No, Lisa was like
a solo. No,
in one of the games.
Yeah, no. They
Homer's gotten his own game. Bart's gotten his own game. Has Marge or Lisa or Maggie gotten their own games?
I don't think so.
Wow.
Where? Just because you moved the microphone levels down.
I can lower myself.
No, I lowered our gain just a little bit so we wouldn't hear as much of an echo. This should be a little bit better. Let me know if this improved it at all, y'all. This is a new setup for 2 people in the same room, so we're going through some growing pains, but okay, we fixed it.
Sweet.
All right, so so I gotta ask you, how did you, a math genius, end up in the TTRPG space?
I mean, I grew up playing video games, man. Like that's one of the things that actually got me into considering a technical career was, I grew up, man, my first console was ColecoVision. And then the Atari 2600 was kind of transformational for me. Like we played that well into the Nintendo era because when I was younger, I did not know that there was a game crash in the 80s and that the Atari was from the 70s. So therefore all the games were cheap. So when I grew up, I was like, man, you could get all these games for $1. Like we would just go downtown, in Patterson in New Jersey, which is where I grew up, and just like there were people selling mixtapes and selling incense, or whatever, they would have just boxes of Atari cartridges, and I was like, yo, video games are awesome. So we just had like mountainous amount of Atari cartridges, and man, we just played those games until way into the late 80s, when like the NES was the thing. We were still playing like Atari, just because we had so many games. We had a Nintendo, but we didn't have that many games for it because the games were expensive, so yeah, I mean, because I grew up playing video games, and I was interested in how they worked, that kind of got me into math and science and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Once I found out that people made them, because when you're a kid, you're like, I don't know, this is like magic or something,
See, that makes me feel so spoiled because like when I was like toddler young, I had an NES. Like,
I mean, we got one. We definitely got one, but as I said, we just didn't have a lot of games because games were like, $50, $60, $70 each.
I think I only had 2 games for the NES the entire time I had it, which was the Mario and Duck Hunt, and Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
Sweet, that's a good one.
Yeah, but it's hard though, man.
It is really hard.
That's how it was back then.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's the reason why they call it Nintendo difficulty, like Nintendo.
Yeah, all those Disney games were hard, like Aladdin.
I will never forgive them for Aladdin. I will never. I still to this day feel like Aladdin is as hard as Dark Souls, and nobody can tell me differently.
I feel like whoever Disney outsourced their game development to, they just told him like, look, like make this thing like brutally difficult.
You wanna date Princess Jasmine, you gotta earn it.
So like, but I didn't do like tabletop when I was younger because for some reason, even though I did all the stereotypically nerdy things, I read comic books, I did all this, that just seemed like a whole nother level. And nobody in my hood was doing that. Like we all played video games, we all did comics, none of us did like D&D and stuff. So
were you a Marvel or DC guy?
Oh, I was definitely DC with that. I mean Batman is still my favorite comic character of all time.
That's fair. He's got a pretty good rogues gallery, I can't lie.
Yeah, so like I grew up with a lot of Batman and Superman. I mean, I still bought Marvel stuff for sure because I loved like X-Men runs, but it was mostly DC. So like a lot of that stuff for sure. And then I remember in college, trying some RPG stuff, but there was like no Black people. Well, there was no one of anything in that space, so it felt really weird. And I was like, I don't know if this is really for me, I didn't really have those experiences of knowing anybody that did it. So it wasn't really, I mean, literally 20 years later, I get a call from Tanya DePass, who I've worked with on a number of projects, that were more video game like related. And then, this is when I was living in like Milwaukee, and like she was like, hey, like, Wizards of the Coast is looking to start a Midwest D&D team with a mix of new players and old players. And like I was like, oh, like I'm a little worried about being the new player. I don't want to be like made fun of or whatever. But because I've worked with her in the past and like she's just super dope, and I know that she's like very like she doesn't pick people unless she really, really rocks with them and really like believes that they can do it, you know? So I knew that she wasn't just going down the Rolodex, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, I was like, all right, like I'm gonna give it a shot. And man, it's been one of the best things that's happened to me, you know, as an adult.
Can I ask you how you two met?
Man, we met at WizCon. Yeah. We met at WizCon. I don't know if you guys are familiar with WizCon, but it's like a feminist sci-fi convention that they have in Madison that's been going on for a while, probably about
I knew
35
about
or 40
WizCon.
years.
I did not know the nature of it though.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super dope. I went every year when I was in Wisconsin. So I had other friends that I met through just being online that all lived in the Chicago area. So when I moved to like a Milwaukee, they were like, you gotta go to WizCon. I was like, okay. So like they knew Tanya through just being in Chicago and just doing nerd stuff. So I met her there. Yeah. And we just became
that's
friends.
Super cool. Like Tanya is a dream guest to get on here. I'm sure Tanya, she has like such an aura about her. It's just like I'm always like scared to ask.
Oh nah, man. Just nah. She's busy, but she's like super humble, you know. And
she's like the godfather of the Chicago nerd scene.
No, man, as I said before, I work with her on so many different projects, and I can tell you, she's very humble and very like, you know, about herself. But she doesn't like people like wasting her time, right?
Yeah.
So like you got to be like, this is what we doing, blah 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 blah. It's like, all right. Yeah.
So I mean, your first experience in TTRPG was literally jumping into the deep end of like a professional project that like was, I mean, and we all know that most of the TTRPG stuff that happens is on the West Coast. It's like LA and everything. Yeah. And you know, you were part of the major Midwest boom that, you know, I mean, personally, I gotta tell you, I was really inspired by Waterdeep. That's kind of one of the things that got me to go, you know, maybe Chicago is a cool place to try this out. So, first off, thanks for that. And second, like...
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, without rivals, like, I probably just would still be playing in, like, private stream games. But, first off, so thank you for that. And two, like, when did you realize that, oh, this is the deep end? Like, this is for real?
Well, so I talked about this a little bit on our, like, 100th episode, like, celebration of Rivals, but our first game wasn't just on Twitch. It was in person in Los Angeles in front of literally the creators of D&D.
Oh, right. You guys premiered at D&D Live.
Yeah, we premiered at Stream of Many Eyes in 2018. So like Chris Perkins and all these like head game designers. Now, I didn't really know who they were. So like I wasn't like that intimidated, but still, like, you know, we were in front of a bunch of people. Like there were a bunch of people sitting down watching us, you know.
That's gotta be terrifying, Mike.
Well, I feel like I kind of went in with more of a ignorant naiveness. Is it naivete? I think is the word. Being naive, right? So we had played one sample game and we rolled all our characters like together. And I knew Tanya and Cicero, who was like one of our cast members at the time. I didn't really know Carlos and Serena and Brandon that well. But we all just bonded because like we were all there, like, yo, like we all gonna crush this, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, talk about an all-star cast, like just kind of going and seeing where like the first wave of people have ended up, like, man.
Yeah, I mean that was, I feel like one of the good things about us being put together, as a Carlos says, as a boy band. You know, like we all had our own communities. you know, like we all had our own things kind of going on. So I don't think we felt the pressure to like make like, oh man, we got to build everything from scratch. Like it was kind of like we all knew that we were good at, I guess, what we did in our like respective stuff. So we had a lot of confidence. But at the same time, it was still scary. Like that first game was definitely scary. But man, once we started, I didn't even notice the crowd because to me, playing was so much fun. And we were like sitting at this big curved table and we were all just laughing and just, you know, all the new people, we were just trying stuff that you probably should not do. Like, I think like one of the funniest things was we started at level 4 and literally the first one, they had a NPC, so like Mert the moneylender from like a Waterdeep, right? He like came out and he gave us a mission. You know, it was like a actual actor, and Cicero, he like just said, "I want to cast like Zone of Truth to like see if he's telling the truth." And the DM was like, "Are you sure?" Like Mert is like a level 20 character. He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And hey, man, Mert crit failed, and we got him to reduce his price. I remember being like, "You can do that?" Like you know what I'm saying? Like you can just do whatever, and that to me kind of really opened up the game to me. Was even going in, I still thought there were some boundaries to what you could do and couldn't do, but it truly is like as long as you're willing to deal with the consequences, like you can really make your own game. And I think that's what makes RPGs so special to me, because you have like this uniquely crafted experience that you share with this group of people that you won't have with anybody else. Like no matter how many games that you play, like everything is like, we did this, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, my favorite thing is to make my GM stretch. Like, you know, you tell them a good story and the GM goes, all right. But you gotta hit that certain note.
Yeah, but that's also the fun of jamming, I feel like, is being stretched and having to think on the spot and having to improvise. Like that's part of what makes jamming fun, like to me at least, is I don't want to go through it as like this mechanical like thing where I'm just going through a page that I wrote. Like it's more about, to me, the like improving and the negotiating and like all that kind of stuff, which is really fun to me.
So when did the desire to GM bite you?
Oh, day one. Day one. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Because so I was the kind of kid where I would play a lot of video games and then I'd be like, I don't really like how that happened. And I would write my version of, this is how Super Mario Brothers 3 should have ended. Or this is how Final Fantasy 2 should have included these characters. So unbeknownst to me, I was already kind of GMing. I was like making up my own things. I would write down the decisions that I didn't like and I would write my own decisions. So I was like always interested in like how these games worked and what went into them. So I feel like I was already doing it. So when I saw that there was like a space that encouraged that, I was like, oh, this is like, I can't wait to do that. But I knew I couldn't start off doing it. I felt like I had to have some experience with the mechanics of dice rolling and all that kind of stuff.
Looking up the spells and all that stuff. I truly believe nothing is more responsible for the boom of TTRPG than invisible walls in video games.
Yeah, or even worse than invisible walls, that if like there's like a little desk and you can't like hop over it or something. I hate that.
Oh my god! Like I've just started playing Final Fantasy 14, and one of the things that drives me crazy is that I can't sit in the chair. Like, I know it's small, but it's just like I see people sitting in chairs. Why not me?
Yeah. And like it breaks the immersion, right?
Yeah.
When you can't do that kind of stuff.
Whereas in D&D you can, or in any TTRPG, you can sit in the chair and then throw a chair at a random NPC and start a fight. So it's just,
I mean, seriously, like those little things do matter though. Like, I don't know. I wish I would have started playing when I was younger, because I would have took to it. As I said before, I was already doing this stuff with video games. I was already writing my own like mini Mass Effects you know, with super linear games. Like I think Final Fight, this should have happened. I think Cody should have done this in this situation. Like I was already doing that, you know.
So question, have you ever stopped to consider just how many people Waterdeep has inspired to get into TTRPG? Like, have you?
I don't even know, man. I mean, so when Latia first joined our cast, she told us like, man, like I saw you at Stream of Many Eyes and I was inspired. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because she's been playing for way longer than probably everybody except Tanya, you know? Yeah. So I was like, how do we inspire you if you've been playing since you were like a kid, you know?
I'm gonna take to the bank that I was in Latia's first game.
Oh wow, look at that. Look at that flex. That flex. Yeah, so I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot of people that come up to me and say, you inspired me. So I don't really know. I think so. The people that told me specifically was Latia and Solani as well, from Indoor Recess and Plot Hunters and stuff, which are both great shows if you're not familiar with those.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that's not easily said, but yeah, it's definitely true.
No, I think that's cool. Like as I said before, like I mean, every time I hear it, it's great. It's I mean, I guess when we went out, like I always wanted to make a show that I would want to see when I was a kid. That's always my mentality, because I would have definitely been playing younger if I saw a group of people that had these like cultural references and were just being themselves, like not trying to be like, we're gonna be a version of this just with melanin, you know what I'm saying? Like we actually are ourselves in there, and being honest and you know, if I saw that, I would have been like in it. So the fact that we could do that with some veteran players and some newer players as well, is just great.
Heck yeah. Now, as somebody whose entire nerd career was guided by video games, I mean, even your personal career was guided by video games, how does it feel to have a character in a video game?
Oh, it's nuts. It's nuts, man. Like, so I've, as I said, in the video game industry, I've interviewed a lot of people. I've been to E3, I've been to GDC, I've done all that stuff. So I've interviewed a lot of developers about making games. I've seen people make games. I still do like diversity consultations with companies. So I've sort of done all that, but there's nothing like being in a meeting where someone's talking to you about designing a character that you made. I mean, it's mind blowing. It's one of the most mind blowing things I've dealt with. This is a character that came completely out of my head, and now like someone's like, hey, like how do we digitize this? Like it's,
you ever find yourself playing your own character?
Oh, I do all the time. Like I'm not gonna be humble about that. I definitely log on, and I definitely Shaka takes a little while to unlock though. Like you usually have to do like a endless like thing, because like he doesn't unlock until about the 9th slot.
They didn't just give you access to your own character.
No. So like that's the funny thing, is that we had an unlocking stream, and it took so long to unlock because I had to go through all the other characters first. And I mean, well, to be fair, I mean, they gave me a whole bunch of unlockables and gifts and coins and stuff to help it go faster. But yeah, no, you do got to grind it out.
Because I would have been like, I want to be unlocked right now for me.
I did find that a little strange. But it like also gave me a chance to like learn the game, you know.
True.
But yeah, it's one of the most special things I've had happen, is like, you know, being on that side of the game development process, like going back and forth with the artists and the producers and the designers, seeing how they trade assets, how we go back and forth with small things. Like I've never been like of all the video game work that I've done, I've never been on that side of it, you know. So super, super cool.
So can I ask you more about your video game work history? Like what have you, like you said, you've gone to E3 and stuff. Like, okay, I know you're a teacher, and like you're like a mathematician, which, I mean, you might as well tell me you know how to speak an alien language with that. So like, how does that translate into like ended up at E3?
Well, I mean, when I graduated grad school, and I was working, this was about, well, I actually, this was pretty far after I graduated grad school. So I graduated grad school in 2003. And then I just did like, you know, I was engineer, I was doing consulting work. But I also started, that's when blogs became a thing as well. So I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna start up a blog. So I started up one, obviously not under my own name, because back then it wasn't really, you didn't really use your own name online. It was like a thing, you know? So I'd blog about games, I'd blog about sports, I'd blog about, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then around 2011, I was like, okay, I'm kind of tired of this anonymous stuff. Like, I'm going to brand myself with my name. You know, I saw that Shareef Jackson was available, the website. So like, I was like, I'm gonna rebrand all my stuff, right? So then I started like marketing myself as a science and gaming person at that time. I already built up quite a bit of a following just based on my take under my old names. But I wanted to like say, no, this is me and this is part of like what I do. At that time,
I've got to ask, because this is always a fun question. Can we know what your online alias used to be?
You know, just for you. I actually usually don't share it, but just for you, I will share.
I'll tell you one of mine if you tell me one of yours.
Yeah. So mine was Reefing Your Teeth. Reefing Your Teeth was mine.
Reefing Your Teeth? I was
Reefing Your Teeth.
I was the evil Pop-Tart. So
oh, now which Pop-Tart are we talking about here?
Oh, Wildberry.
Which specific?
Because that's
Wildberry.
the most evil of them.
I feel like the evil one was what was it? Like
you
that
never know, like what is a Wildberry?
Like that s'mores one. I was never a fan of the s'mores Pop-Tarts. Like, I feel like if you want s'mores, like, get some s'mores.
S'mores are the best Pop-Tart.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Don't
they're
do
awful.
this, Shareef.
They're terrible.
We don't need to get into a Pop-Tart fight this morning.
Brown sugar cinnamon
Pop-Tarts are objectively the best Pop-Tart.
Oh man,
I'm more of a toaster strudel person myself.
Toaster strudels are the superior breakfast pastry.
Yes, they definitely are.
Pop-Tarts
like,
are trash.
superior.
Hold on now.
Pop-Tarts are trash.
Let's not. I don't want to lose two friends today.
I'm gonna stand by this.
I mean, I agree that they're not great, but I do have some nostalgia because I did grow up eating a lot.
They're not the best. They're not even top 5, but you still gotta respect the hustle.
Oh, they're far from top 5.
Here's my thing though. They were too sweet when I was a kid. They always made my throat hurt.
Did you ever have a s'mores Pop-Tart?
Yes, and they made my throat hurt, and they made my teeth hurt.
Then you're simply too weak.
I don't know. Maybe I was allergic to pop. Maybe I'm allergic.
Maybe you're allergic to Pop-Tarts. That's not Pop-Tarts' fault.
Pop-Tarts are trash. But hey, listen, I don't like them, so that means there's more for you.
There you go.
That's fair.
See that? It's a win-win.
I mean, all right. More Pop-Tarts for me is always a good thing.
Win-win.
Especially if they're even. But so sorry to get us off track. So you started a video game blog.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I started getting some attention for it because I was just writing stuff, so I ended up doing a video game podcast called the Spawn on Me podcast with Khalif Adams and Cicero Holmes. Still going now, though I did leave the show a few years ago. But it ended up getting pretty big. So we ended up started to get like review copies and access to these conferences. And I was also on the education side. I was already going to the Consumer Electronics Show every year because I was working on the science side. So I was looking at like the science of new TVs and and like all that stuff, and making like blog posts about those conferences from like a scientific perspective. I've been to pretty much everything in the States. I haven't been to like Gamescom or TGS or any of that stuff, but
so you got your foot in the video game door and the TTRPG door.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done the conference stuff video game wise in a while. Just for bandwidth reasons. I mean, the RPG stuff has kind of taken over. But I definitely still do gaming consulting stuff. And I still do like, I do a gaming stream on the Rivals channel every week. So I still play stuff, but like I don't write as much gaming wise as I used to. Just because honestly the RPG stuff to me is more interesting right now.
It feels like there's a lot of action happening in the TTRPG space, but before we fully jump into that, I have to ask, if you can you tell us what's the biggest game you've ever worked on?
I can't.
NDAs, baby.
Yes. Sometimes they want to share, but sometimes they don't. So
okay. Okay, can you tell us what was the most fun game you've ever worked on that you can tell us about?
If you don't want to
risk it because you're like, did I sign for that? Then don't worry about it.
I can say it's like a lot of indie stuff. So a lot of cool like indie stuff, because like that's really where my heart is with a lot of games now, is like the indie stuff. Like I don't do a lot of big budget things anymore. So like a lot of indie stuff.
What's your favorite game of the moment? Like what game are you playing right now that you're like, ooh, this is great?
Death's Door for sure.
Death's Door, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh man, it is so good. It's difficult. But it's cool, like isometric.
I no longer have to check that out.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it is difficult for sure.
Is it like a roguelite or?
No, it's like an isometric, like kind of platformer puzzle game. You're basically trying to Death's Door. You're like basically trying to find all these souls that are in this kind of like purgatory-ish kind of like area, but it's really fun, has a lot of personality, great dialogue, great writing,
the art style.
The art style is great. And the music is incredible. It's really good music, and I'm really big into video game music, and the music is really good.
$19.99 on Steam, y'all check it out.
I would definitely suggest anybody check it out for sure. There might be like I don't know what the difficulty levels are in the game. I know that I'm playing on the standard like a difficulty, and it's definitely a game that you gotta like bash your head against the wall for a little bit. It's definitely one of those games.
I can't risk it. I've broken too many controllers.
Yeah.
You're also a big Zelda fan, right?
Oh yeah.
How excited are you for Breath of the Wild 2?
I am, to be honest, I'm cautiously excited for it.
Yeah.
Because Breath of the Wild was kind of like
I didn't like
magic in a bottle, like genre breaking, non-Zelda-ish. Like it's just everything that Zelda is not.
Right.
But it still felt like a Zelda game, and it kind of like came out of nowhere. Like after Skyward Sword, I think everybody was expecting kind of like, okay, it's going to be another similar romp through, through a 3D Zelda game, and it just completely turned the franchise on its head.
Yeah.
So I feel like Breath of the Wild 2 is going to feel iterative. So I feel like to me personally, I don't think Breath of the Wild there was much that they could have perfected on. I know people don't like the weapon, the disposable weapons and stuff. I personally found that cool because I liked beating people, like finding sticks or whatever, and like improvising.
Tossing sticks at them just as they're about to break and critting.
Yeah. I actually found that cool, but I understand the frustration that people had, so I could see them kind of working on that. But everything else, I mean,
Breath of the Wild felt like a great game, but it did not feel like a Zelda game, so I kind of felt bamboozled. Like I was going for root beer and I got like Sprite. Nothing wrong with Sprite, but I'm in the mood for root beer right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when people talk about Breath of the Wild, like if it still feels like a Zelda game to you, I feel like that means that you liked it. But if it didn't feel like a Zelda game, like to me it didn't feel like a Zelda game, then you have a harder time with it.
Yeah, it's a pretty divisive game, but to me it's like, I think the last time a modern game shot so quickly on my top 10 gaming list of all time, which has been fixed for a long time. The last game that did that to me was Last of Us. And those are the only two games in the last like 10 years that have went on my top 10 game of all time list.
What's your thoughts on Last of Us 2? Because that is a very divisive title.
Very well done. I really they put everything into it, but man, was it so depressing at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Like it was really painful to play through, and when I finished it, I was like, I never want to play that again. Not in a bad way, but I would just like, I like that they wanted to explore this concept of grief and
revenge
and depression and revenge, but man, it was just like,
it was a hard playthrough.
So hard to play through. Yeah, it was a big bummer. Like, and not that every game has to be roses, but man, that game was it was a bummer, man.
Yeah, and like it did come out at exactly the wrong time.
Yeah, it was a wrong time. Like I was already emotionally kind of messed up just from COVID and stuff and being inside, and it just. Yeah, it was a bummer. Dude.
Nobody needed that extra dose of misery, but everything about the game was well executed. The storyline, the voice acting, the graphics, the mechanics.
I did think it was a little too long, but I get that like it's AAA and we got to make it super long. But I feel like just cut one day out. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like. If they would have did that, then it would have been perfect to me. Because
I don't know how I felt about the two protagonists, like having. Like,
I loved that. I loved playing through the same timeline from a different perspective. I just think that they could have shortened it. That's all.
I honestly felt like they should have cut Ellie's portion. I would have preferred going into the game completely as somebody that I didn't know and learning about her relations to Ellie through just entirely a game from her perspective.
I think that would have been cool, but I think from a business perspective, all their marketing was Ellie, right? Like so I feel like they would have had to market on a person that no one knew. And I feel like they probably said, yo, like we need to market on like what happened to Ellie after the last game? Like, did she figure out what happened? You know, that kind of stuff. So
I think my beef with the marketing is that they did market it and potential spoiler warning for everybody. I think my problem with the marketing is that they marketed it as though you were going to play as Ellie and Joel. And that wasn't the case.
Okay.
But other than that, like don't get me wrong, I love that game. It's just, man.
It just has that, like, even when I think about it, I get a little down.
Right?
Yeah, like, just because it but like that was the point. So like they achieved that, but I don't know. I don't want to feel like that when I'm playing video games.
I don't want to get in trouble for this, but it felt like if I would compare Last of Us 2 to like your Amistads and your Schindler's List, which are great films, but you don't pop those on at a party. You know,
right.
It's a thinking movie. It's a thinking game. It's something that everybody should experience, and I never want to see it again.
Absolutely.
But we've again strayed from TTRPG, which we tend to do here.
That's what happens when
all
they
good.
have ADHD.
So my next question is, if you could design your own video game, what would that look like?
Oh man. That's tough. Just
like,
one.
Do you have a genre in mind or anything like that?
Well, I do love platformers. Being somebody that grew up in that era where platformers were king. But I would love to mix a platformer with like a decision-based platformer somehow, right? So I would love to have something with sort of that BioWare level of stuff, but also in a platformer. I think would be really cool.
Like certain areas would be closed off to you if you made certain choices.
Yeah. I think that would be dope, because one thing I love about good platformers is how there's so many secrets, and if you pay enough attention to the level, it's like just out of reach and like you got to find something. But I think that like it would be cool if certain things would open and close based on your relationship with certain characters. I think would be pretty dope.
You know what franchise that would really work for? Either a Metroid or a Castlevania.
Yeah. I could definitely see it with Castlevania. Metroid, not as much, just because to me, at least, the best Metroid games are one where it's just her in solitude, not having to have conversations with folks. But I can see it in
I'm
Castlevania.
starting to get other M flashbacks as you're describing this.
Exactly.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Exactly. Man, they really did Samus dirty.
Oh my God, it was so bad.
Really did her dirty.
She needed permission to use her weapons. I'll never forgive them for that.
You're authorized to use bombs now, Samus. It's like, oh my God. It would. I think that would be cool, like a decision-based platformer where the secrets kind of change on that. And I just love games that give you alternatives to combat as well, like maybe you can sneak past a boss, or maybe form an alliance with a boss, or turn them to your cause, or something like that. I feel like that would have
different builds. Like you would have stealth builds, charisma builds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That'd be cool.
That would be sick. That is more Castlevania the more I think about it, though.
And that would also lend itself to how to deal with, like, if you had a combat build that only had certain specs based on choices. When you got to, say, a final boss, your way of approaching that boss would be completely different depending on which playthrough you're going in.
Yep.
Trouble in Techburg platform RPG win.
That's right. I'm seeking funding, for this. Let's go.
Not with the way we're rolling, we could never have a game.
Let's go.
How many ones are we at now?
We don't need to talk about it. I've never wanted to fight a virtual tabletop more.
All those ones are dollars. They're all dollars.
If only. If I got $1 for every time I rolled a one, I'd be a very wealthy man.
I got $1 for when you rolled a one on Techburg.
Good God.
It started counting. Why did it start counting?
Because Roll20 is messing with me, and they said as much on a tweet, and I'll never forgive them for coming for my neck like that.
That was a great tweet.
So what other projects do you got going on right now? I mean, of course I know about the one because I'm in it. But you got anything else you're brewing up? I
mean, Rivals and Trouble in Techburg are the main ones that I'm doing right now. I do have one that I'm in talks with that I might start soon. With Mage the Ascension. With that.
I want to play Mage so bad.
I don't think anything's been publicly announced yet, but it will be with that system. So,
have you
looking
played
forward
Mage before?
I have not.
Oh man,
I have not. So, I've been staring at like a 400-page book.
I'm in a changeling game and it's like 500 pages.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it though. Like it looks pretty cool. So like those are the things in terms of like streamed, I guess, games that I will be doing. But also just some home stuff. Like I'm really trying to get my my wife and some local friends in a game. I think that would be fun. So I'm trying to make that happen. When I was in Milwaukee, we would do like game nights. Mm-hmm. We didn't do RPG stuff though. It was a lot of board games and like maybe like some Mario Kart, that kind of stuff.
So you trying to end your friendships then, because that's all Mario Kart and Mario Party are good for.
Yeah, I haven't played Mario Party in so many years, but Kart, oh yeah. I'm trying to end some friendships.
No game gets me more mad than a game that starts with Mario. Yeah.
I almost lost the friendship of my nephew-in-laws, I guess. I was at my sister-in-law's house and they wanted to play me in like NBA 2K. So I played one quarter and I was up by like 25 points. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna switch teams and I'm gonna come back and go up by 25. And I did. And they threw the controller down and I was like, look, y'all, I've been playing games for long. Like, I don't know, like y'all just assume all adults don't know games, man. You know, and like, I mean, these kids were like, 8 years old, 9 years old. So of course, at that era, like you think you're the god of gaming, right? And that no adult could ever beat you. So I try to put them in a place, put them in a place.
Who's your team?
So, in that or just in general?
In that and in general, I have to know.
Oh, well, I'm a Knicks fan.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when you grew up in New Jersey, you're either
the Nets. You got the Nets.
Well, they were in New Jersey at that time, but surprisingly, not a lot of North Jersey people are Nets fans. We all grew up Knicks fans. We actually made fun of Nets fans because there weren't that many, and but this is funny. We were all Knicks fans, but we'd all go to Nets games because they were cheap. Knicks games because
they were trash.
Yeah, exactly. so we would go to all these Nets games because they were cheap, and Knicks games were super expensive because that's back when the Knicks were good in the 90s. They were good. They were good. They didn't win, but they were good. And Knicks tickets have been expensive even when they've been bad for the last 20 years, just because it's New York. And
because that's where all the celebrities
keep their prices up.
To watch the Knicks lose.
To watch them lose. So I played them with the Knicks, with the 94 Knicks. I waxed them. And they got mad, and then they got mad, and I was like, "Sorry, yes."
Well, we have a question in chat, which is apparently Michaela Sims has a mage game coming up. Is that the one you were referring to?
I cannot confirm.
You can neither confirm nor deny, Friday. Good question. Also, Who's Your Kid says, Noir, I'm ready to end our friendship. I'm bringing my Switch and I got Kart. I'll get Mario Kart and then I'll destroy you. I'll see you at Gen Con.
Yeah, there's I actually have some of my favorite con memories, not as much with the Switch, but with the DS.
Yeah.
Was waiting in line at cons or getting street passes from people at cons.
It would just go so fast.
Yeah, it would just be so many, and playing Mario Kart with people while like waiting online, for some panel. Those were the con days of getting those street passes. That was the thing. Yeah, incredible.
I was never really a part of it. So for a very long portion of my life, I was a Nintendo hater. Like I held on to that Genesis NES rivalry with my whole chest.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a Nintendo. Like, I never owned a Genesis, but I owned a Sega Master System, which almost nobody owned. But again, we got because it was cheap. I didn't know that at the time, but that's really why we had it because it wasn't selling well in the States, so we got it for cheap. Also, I think though, because I liked a lot of Sega arcade games like Outrun and Afterburner and stuff. So like those games weren't on the NES, right? So like I was pretty excited to have like home versions of those, and I owned a Dreamcast, right? So I was never like anti Sega. I just didn't have like the 32X Sega CD Genesis monster combination of devices that all like humped each other. I just didn't have that, but
I have to say Sega's problem was that Sega was ahead of its time, and I'll hold on to that.
I mean, look, Sega CD was definitely ahead of its time for sure.
Sega CD was ahead of its time. Sega Genesis was ahead of its time, and Dreamcast was ahead of its time, and nobody can tell me differently.
Yeah, the Genesis was ahead of its time. I mean, it was the first 16-bit system, but years later there were several 16-bit systems.
But we had Mortal Kombat with blood, so
it's true. No, I remember
sanitize everything.
No, even before Sonic, I remember the early Genesis ads in EGM and GamePro that just showed Altered Beast, which I loved in the arcade. I remember being like, I remember being like, yo, like you could play Altered Beast at home? Like, this is nuts, So no, I mean, my stepbrother had a Genesis, so like, and like I was at my dad's house like every weekend, so we definitely played a lot of Genesis. Like they had better sports games, like Madden was way better on Genesis. Sonic, of course, was dope, and like Mortal Kombat with blood, all that stuff. Streets of Rage,
X-Men game, like Friday said, was dope. The Spider-Man game was dope.
X-Men was great. Yeah. So like I like was a Nintendo fan, but I never like hated Sega. You know what I'm saying? Like I still played a lot of it because they had dope stuff. Like Streets of Rage 2 is one of my favorite games. I love that game.
They rebooted Streets of Rage and it still holds up.
Streets of Rage 4. Yeah. It was a good love letter to that franchise, and they actually got some of the original designers and Yuzo Koshiro, who did all the music, did a couple tracks for it.
Hey.
So yeah,
see, this is why you had such luck. Well, not luck, but such success with your podcast, because I knew none of that.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and I like really love it. They clipped your wise from your wave. Pretty good.
We share a brain cell. It's true.
I mean, you can't think Ultra Beast did not immediately go wise from your wave. Like
that is a true. Though actually, I say the thing I probably think the most about Ultra Beast was, and again, this is a bit of a deep cut, but it's fine. You remember on the second level when you turn into the dragon?
Yeah.
Into like the flying like electricity dragon, and the boss is just like a bunch of eyes, just like for some reason that sticks out in my head, like that boss fight, because you would just get right next to it and just keep pressing the shock button, and you didn't have to do anything else. And that was I used to love that level. Dude, Ultra Beast was just really fun. Like it was a great like mechanic of like punching these two-headed dogs to get power up.
I'm so mad we don't have a sequel or a remake or HD remake or whatever of Altered
Yeah,
Beast.
I wonder if
Maybe
they
it's a
ever did a
licensing issue.
remastered. Yeah, I don't know if they ever, because I don't think there was ever a sequel,
No.
and I don't know if they ever did like one on like the Xbox or something like that. I don't know. Because I know that they did do some awful modern versions of like, I remember there being an awful like Final Fight 3D Final Fight that came out that was awful.
Oh,
There was
what
an
was
awful,
What was
yeah.
that fighting game where you could turn into like an animal or something?
Bloody Roar.
Bloody Roar.
That was on PlayStation. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, they often try to do that, but I don't remember them ever doing that for Altered Beast. And that was like literally what Sega sold the console on, like before Sonic. It was like you can play Altered Beast, like you know, yeah.
We've been at this for about an hour and 20 minutes. Do we want to take a quick 5-10 minute break and then swing back?
All right. So yeah, we'll take ourselves a quick 10-minute break, and we'll be back with the second half of Morning Ritual, which is our dark roast, where we start to ask you more serious questions and our That Guy segment.
Yeah.
So everybody, go get yourself a cup of coffee. Do all the things that humans do. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Nice.
All right.
3, 2, 1, and we're back.
Hey.
And we're back now.
Now we're back.
Yeah.
Now we're back. We weren't back before. Now
Now we're
back.
fully back. We were kind of back.
And Kaylin, thank you so much for all those gifted subs. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah, that was
incredible.
25 gifted subs. Holy smokes. Glad
you.
that you found us. We do this every Saturday. So we're gonna do like a time crunch version of the dark roast, because we want to get the most out of this. So first off, you get any 5 people you want to play with in the play a TTRPG with. 85 people that are alive right now. Who do you pick?
And they don't have to be in the TTRPG.
Yeah, they don't have to be in the TTRPG space.
Okay.
Like, I've picked Oprah. I've picked Cardi B. Who do you pick?
Okay. So like people that are alive now that want to pick. Okay. Okay. Number 1, Nas.
Woo!
One of my favorite rappers of all time.
Woo!
Great story. As a matter of fact, he might be the DM.
Yo!
Great story creator. You
Yeah.
can visualize like everything he's saying. So definitely Nasty Nas, Escobar, everything you want to call him would be in there for sure. Let's see who else.
That's a good choice.
Zendaya. I would love to have on there. She just has a really dope personality, and I think I could see her playing a cool like roguish character or even a bard possibly. Yeah, I would
Okay.
I would like Zendaya on there for
And
sure.
she's also an incredible storyteller. I think she's behind a lot of the creative decisions behind Euphoria, which was an
I think so. Yeah.
amazingly disturbing, but amazing show.
Yeah, that's another one I couldn't make it through. I wanted
Yeah.
to so bad, and it just
That made me terrified.
the
to
subject
have
matter was too
kids.
real. Yeah, the subject matter was too real. That
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna watch this eventually, but not right now. Yeah, let's see who else. Will Smith.
Yeah, he'd be a good one.
I just think he would just add that gregariousness that excite. Like anytime anybody's down, he would probably say something to hype everybody up, and I could also see him doing some Leroy Jenkins type things, just running in and starting situations off. So I think that like he would be cool in there. Let's see. What else would I like to put in there?
So we've got Nas, Zendaya, Will Smith.
Let's see. How about Dame Judi Dench? Yeah.
I can see.
Yeah,
but
let's
she
get
already
Judy in
knows
there.
How to play because of Vin Diesel.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not saying
What
Vin
movie
Diesel.
was it? Riddick.
Yeah, because I just think she's everything she's in. She just exploding with charisma, right? Like she's such a presence. And I think she could be like a cool like character there. So like yeah, I would. So yeah. So I think that's 4, right? Yeah, I said 4.
You've got
so
Nas,
5th.
Will Smith, Zendaya, Jane Judy Dench.
Jane Judy Dench, that's right. Let's see. You know what? I'm gonna throw Barack in there.
Yeah.
And the reason why
you gotta.
And the reason why I would say that is because he is like so dorky and awkward and nerdy that I feel like he would either get so into it or be so bad that it would be hilarious. Like I feel like he would just be one of those people that would just mess up in the most hilarious ways and then just be like, I didn't know that was gonna happen. So yeah, I could see him there for some comedic relief. Like
I like that. Well, so your 5 is Nas as GM, Zendaya. I almost said The Rock instead of Will Smith. They're like interchangeable in my head for some reason. So Nas, Zendaya. I almost did it again. Will Smith, Jane Judy Dench, and Barack Obama. That's a table that I would love to see.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I love the idea of Judy Dench rolling her eyes at something Barack's character does.
She absolutely would. Oh yeah. Oh, and like I would definitely sit them right next to each other just for that.
Oh
yeah. I'd sit them right next to each other. I could see them arguing like about what to do. Barack, what are you doing?
Kaylin dropped 5 in chat. William Dafoe, Dave Chappelle, Idris Elba, The Rock, Tiffany Haddish, and Abria Iyengar.
Okay, I like it.
That's a solid lineup too. I'd watch that.
Yeah. I could definitely see Dafoe too. But is it creepy Dafoe, or is it is it
creepy Dafoe?
Is it creepy Dafoe?
Sweet Green Goblin Dafoe, baby.
Yeah,
a little bit of a scientist myself. Dafoe.
I could see him doing like NPCs and stuff. Like, he would kill it doing.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Our next question that we always ask guests. Okay, we got to give some backstory to this. There's a war happening in the TTRPG community between those who consider dice to be forbidden candies that you crunch on.
It looks like bubblegum.
It does not look like bubblegum. It looks like a dice. And those who believe that dice don't belong in your mouth. So, Shareef, being a highly influential TTRPG community member, your voice is powerful, so I have to ask you, do you support crunching dice, or are you a member of the righteous and correct side of this war, the stop the crunch side of things?
Oh, very unbiased question. I appreciate that. You're
I try to present
unbiased,
neutrally.
Neutral, non-leading question.
I mean, if you like, I could give you some of the answers from our previous guests.
Oh no! I don't need that.
If you can see what side you would be on.
I know what side I'm on. Okay. We're crunching, man. I'm Team Crunch, man.
Damn it, Shareef.
I'm Team Crunch. Look. You know how sometimes you get this unnatural urge to do stuff? Like, is putting dice in your mouth, is it smart? No. Is it like, is it healthy? No. But for the couple seconds, do you get the joy of, I just put these dice in my mouth?
No.
That is worth that couple seconds of bliss.
Life is short.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the stance?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that couple seconds of bliss is worth all the other negatives, you know? Like it's just, you're just weighing pros and cons.
All
And
I
sometimes
didn't want to expose this until the end of this season of Morning Ritual, but we're creating wanted posters for everybody that's on the crunch side.
but look, why do they make them look so good if they don't want you to crunch? Why do they make them look so tasty?
For the aesthetics, not the taste.
They look so tasty.
Aria herself has admitted, as CMO of Dice Envy, that she is attempting to weaponize dice to make it so that they look especially like candy and even smell like candy.
That's big dice working against the average man. They want you to kill your dice, so you have to buy more dice. Don't y'all understand? It's capitalists at work.
To be real, all of us have too many dice. Like that's just part of being in this thing. So
TTRPG
why not crunch them?
Only need 2 sets.
Yeah, okay. Why not crunch them if you have so many? You know?
No,
crunch them if you got them.
No,
yeah, crunch if you got them.
Don't you give them taglines.
Crunch if you got them. It's a good hashtag. I like that.
No, it's not a good hashtag.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Don't let this become a thing, y'all. I mean, that's what I'm saying, Kaylin. Why not just get edible dice? Edible dice.
There's edible dice, but that's too easy. You know, it's too easy. It's too easy.
Hard mode.
Yeah,
No!
it's too easy.
It's a choking hazard.
It's the Dark Souls of
I
can't.
It's okay. It's okay. You know, it's okay.
Shareef, you're breaking my heart. I sound like Padme.
You were the chosen one.
Yeah, it's true. Breaking my heart.
You would stop crunchers, not join them.
Wow, it's pretty good.
All right.
Your new empire.
Your new empire.
He was really talking about crunching that whole scene.
You're
talking about crunching. It's all about crunching.
Okay. The next question. The next question to ask here is: you are emperor of the TTRPG space for one day. What changes are you making? You can, like, if you say the word Wizards either goes out of business or becomes like even like 10 times more profitable, you are like God King of the TTRPG space. What do you do?
So, okay. So, I mean, this is kind of easy for me. If you are racist, sexist, transphobic, misogynist, ableist, all that stuff, get the F out. That's what I would do. I don't care how much of an influencer you are. I don't care how much money you make for these companies. I don't care how long you've been doing this. Get the F out.
Yeah.
Sanitize the space. That's what I would do.
And get those Rangers some help.
like
Ranger class.
I mean, I want to do like a Thanos snap and
oh my god. If we Thanos snapped races, do you know how, like, first off,
it'd be more than half. It'd be more than half.
And also how unsurprised we would be at the same time.
Yep. Yep. It'd be like, I thought so. Yeah.
Like, you do the snap and some of the people at your own table vanishes. Like, yeah, I had a feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what I would do. Because I feel like it's a big problem. And you know, it needs to be handled.
Homophobes, we all of them getting the fuck out.
Everybody all of them. All of them. Get out.
I mean, especially with these hate raids and everything that's going on. And Lord knows what you've experienced being at the table of Wizards or rivals of Waterdeep. Y'all have been getting it the longest and the hardest.
Yeah, we've definitely had people. We had to disable comments on our YouTube videos early on, specifically because people were enraged that we would introduce our pronouns at the beginning of every episode. So we would get just all these comments that would just be like, why are they talking pronouns? Or these weird thing where like people would be like, I'm a helicopter, or just weird we'd get a bunch of weird comments that would literally flood out all the positive comments, so we had to disable it.
I truly believe that racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic people have the same 4 jokes, and like
they cycle through them.
And at first there was a little humor in it, but it's not funny anymore. It's just like, I identify as an attack helicopter. Okay, first time maybe a little funny. Second time, no. You got update your racism, people. It sucks. Anyway,
update your patch in new racism.
If I get one more DM with a new saying want to collab, I'm gonna lose my shit.
So that'd be my thing, is just get all these people out of here.
All right, and for the next portion, this is the That Guy segment. If you have been in the tabletop community for long enough, you have probably been at a table with someone that was a black hole of fun. Someone who, if they were yeeted into the sun, your experience at the table would be improved 1,000-fold. So, Shareef, I have to ask you, have you ever been at a table with a That Guy?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. So I did a lot of, there was a local bar in Milwaukee that would do like drop-in like D&D nights. So I would DM for them because, you get free drinks if you DM and you just hang out or whatever. Man, there's been a lot of that guys at that table where either they would, I had one person ask me if this was going to be a black game at the beginning.
I would have said, yeah, that one. Your move there. Your move.
I've had people, of course, you always have those people that try to like take over the game, like kind of like say like, wait a minute, I think you got this wrong. According to this thing, this should be true. And you have those people that just try to monopolize the game. So they try to make it all about them. They're not really trying to collaborate with the other players. And there's some people that are outright hostile to other players. Yeah. I've seen all that. Luckily, not in any of my standing games because I would have left them. Yeah. But in one shots, a lot for sure.
I'm very curious as to what this guy thought a black game was. Just like, I'm playing a level 5 Shaft. Like, what?
I never even asked him. I just said like, I think you should find another, because like, yeah, it was like a bunch of it was like maybe 4 DMs in this space, and they could just go in and just sit in on like any of the games. And I just said, I think you should join another table. Yeah. And then he got up and left. So then he had a conversation.
It blows my mind the shit people say.
Yeah. and that's just what they say to like your face,
Yeah. We have a cookout at this table.
Then what's up? I mean, I would have been mad at that.
That's what they thought.
Oh my god.
I had a guy try to do like a forced like suggestion joke or like a pseudo rapey joke at my table, and I was like, we don't do that here. This is a femme inclusive space, but we really don't do that at any table, so you should just fuck off with that.
Yeah.
And afterwards he came up to me and was really like meek and apologetic, and I'm like, that's not how I want to be represented. That's not how I want to be known for what I want to be known for. I'm like, well, then don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, my deal is this, and just to hop on that real quick. You ever notice that when people fuck up, their apology is never as loud as their fuck up?
No, never.
Mm-mm.
No. It's like they'll pull you to a corner or they'll DM you like, I'm sorry about that, but in public they're still wilding out.
Yeah, he met me at the bar later.
Yeah,
and was like, yeah, it's like, I'm like,
yeah, because really like saving face. It's not really about them trying to be a better person.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I'm over that shit. So, with the little bit of time that we have left, I do want to kind of open the table to you because again, and I cannot stress this point enough, like, Rivals has been a beacon for a lot of the POC streamers and actual players that we see now. And so, like, with that, if there's any advice or anything that you would like to tell, up and coming POC TTRPGers, well, I mean, what is the little nugget of wisdom that, if anything that we have said in this show sticks? What would it be? What would you choose to have stick with us?
I mean, I think one of the big things is that D&D does not have to be these fantasy tropes that most of us have been exposed through like, Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones and stuff. That is one specific kind of fantasy, like more like European centered fantasy. That is not the definition of fantasy. Like, you can make these games whatever you want, whatever setting you want, whatever vibe you want, whatever time period that you want. Like, you're not locked to, this is an elf, this is what they do. Like, you kind of have your not a drow shirt on, right? Like you're not locked to like these, like, this is what a drow is, this is what a orc is, right? And I feel like sometimes we think that these things are like definite truths, and the game can be anything. Like, you can do anything. So really take that to heart in terms of the setting, in terms of what your character is, what motivates your character, and challenge anything that goes against that. That to me is the most important thing.
Is that something you came into the space like having in your head? Is that something like, after being in as many games as you have been, is that something that you've just kind of, developed?
I mean, I think from the video game work, it's something that's gotten that kind of got to me there, and I kind of carried that mentality over. But I was worried that, like with Rivals, I knew that the people I was with were cool, but I was worried that we would get some pressure from the sponsors or from the like, hey, like are y'all being a little too black? Like, can we like tone that down a little bit? I was a little worried about that. That for them wanting a show to represent their brand, that it would be more like, I mean, we said we wanted black people, we didn't want black people, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all being a little too black, hold it down.
Yeah, so I was a little worried about that, but man, we have some really good champions over there at WotC. Not gonna lie, not everybody, not the whole company, but we definitely have, like, Greg Tito, who really fought for our show to exist, and did PR there for a long time. Like we definitely have some people in our corner.
Heck yeah, and that's spoiler alert, I fully intend to get you back on the show again, because that's something that I would love to get into, your experience with WotC, and just like how, like, the connections that you've made, and like just how like behind the curtains, how has things been for you. That's not something we're gonna get into today, but that is definitely...
I can say though that they've made a lot of fuck ups, and we've held them accountable for it. I think anybody you work with, you should hold accountable for, just in the same way that we could stream on Twitch and still hold them accountable for their lack of action with all this stuff. But I'm definitely not. No, and we had to deal with a lot of this stuff, with people thinking that, oh well, you're not going to say anything because Wizard sponsors your show, and I'm like, nah, like. We have a relationship with them, but that doesn't mean that I agree with everything they do. Like, I don't, like, they've done a lot of bad, tone deaf stuff. And we've heard it from the people that are our champions in there, have told us, like, yo, like, just a heads up, like, this is coming down the pike. You
got some bullshit headed your way.
Yeah. It's real.
No. Absolutely, but yeah, I'm gonna find a way to snag you again, because that is a conversation I would love to get into, because a lot of people, and just this week, a lot of people kind of demonstrated a complete lack of empathy and knowledge to how the business works. With the day off of Twitter, I saw a lot of people, giving Tanya and the Motherlands team a hard time.
Yep.
Not understanding that, there are contracts and things that have to be navigated against, but that doesn't mean that one doesn't support the cause.
Right.
And I feel like if anybody could speak to that in a way that is going to be understood, that's going to be you and Tanya. And I'm definitely going to, build up the courage to try and get Tanya on this show, because I love and respect it so much, and it's just like senpai notice me. But also I think that is something that is a conversation that needs to be held. I mean, because there's nothing wrong with being an activist and wanting to make the space better, but you have to temper it with knowledge.
Yep.
So, that being said, we are at our last 5 minutes, so I'd love to go ahead and start the outros. I'm going to start with my outro, and we'll end on yours, Shareef. Hello, I'm Noir. You can find me all over the internet as TheNoirEnigma. That's Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Please show me some love on Twitch, because Twitch isn't. Also, as mentioned before by Shareef, I am wearing my No, I'm Not a Drow shirt, made by the one and only Burrito. If you like it and you would also like to champion one of the brightest spots in the space, please follow the link below. Support them by picking up some merch, and I'm gonna hand it over to, I can just point to you now. Yeah. I'm gonna hand it over to Anita.
Hi, I'm Anita, or Panita, or Critical Misses. You can find me everywhere online at Panita or at Critical Misses. I'm a TTRPG streamer, graphic designer, cat mom about the space, and you can find me here until I'm not here. Should we do the thing?
What thing?
About the couple weeks?
Oh, right. Also, we have a live show at Gen Con. If you want to see this, but live and in person, so you can throw fruit or tomatoes at me if I say something you don't like. Just go to Gen
Throw
Con.
Pop-Tarts at him.
Yeah, throw Pop-Tarts at me. I would love that. Go ahead and go to the Gen Con website. You can find us there. Get your ticket. It'll be a good time. And finally, the star of the hour. Shareef, tell us about yourself, where we can find you, what projects you're up to, and anything you want to tell the people.
Yeah, you can find me at ShareefJackson.com, ShareefJackson.com. Jackson.com. That has links to everything. And Shareef Jackson on all social networks. That has links to my tutoring stuff, my gaming stuff. On Tuesdays, I do a video game stream at twitch.tv/RivalsOfWaterdeep at 11 a.m. Last time we played No More Heroes 3, and we just kind of dig through a bunch of different games and we play them on there. Thursday mornings, I do Trouble in Techburg with Noir and a few other awesome folks. Every Thursday at twitch.tv/Pixel Circus, and that's at 11 a.m. Eastern. And there's also stuff on the YouTube page, and there's an audio podcast as well for that. And then on Fridays, I do the GM prep on Roll20 at 1 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Roll20app. If you want to check out my GM prep videos there as well. Rivals of Waterdeep will be coming back soon as well. That's on Sundays. It'll be our 101st episode, which will be interesting because we'll be having co-GMs this season. So we'll have both Eugenio Vargas and Brian Gray will be co-GMing. Sounds like chaos. I like chaos. So that'll be fun. I'm just excited to, as I said, be doing what I love and being able to make a career out of it. So super excited for all that stuff.
Heck yeah. And as always, we do the show every Saturday morning. If this is your first time, please give us a follow and hang out with us. Next week, our guest is...
B. Zelda.
B. Zelda!
Yeah.
That's going to be a good one.
We're going to have a chat with B.
We're going to have a chat with B. But other than that, that's been our episode, folks. Everybody, you go off and you have yourself a nice, productive Saturday, or don't be productive. Lay down in bed. You do whatever floats your boat. I'm not your mom.
But until next time, the ritual has concluded.
The ritual has in fact concluded.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, we're clear.